Right, guys, welcome back to the Milk Round, the Castlemilk Youth Complex podcast. We're on episode 22 this week. So welcome back if you're a regular viewer. If you're a new viewer, welcome to the best podcast on YouTube, on the internet, all in actually. Me and Chris bring this podcast out every Thursday with a range of guests, a range of topics, sometimes a different co-host and stuff. So if you haven't checked out our podcast before, all the other episodes are on our YouTube channel, which are probably on just now. So if you can like our videos, subscribe to our channel, ring the bell for notifications, and it'd be good if you could share your our videos on your social medias as well. We're always sharing our stuff on our social medias, always updating with information on the complex and things like that. And you can find our social medias at
It's Facebook, Kelly Youth Complex Staff, Twitter, Youth Complex CYC, Instagram, youth_complex. We have a TikTok, it's Kelly Youth Complex, and you can drop us an email at cycyoutheteam@gmail.com.
Brilliant. So last week we had a great guest on, Chris. It was friends of yours, a band called Scaramanga, whose music we put a link up to as well, and I had a wee listen to it, and I really enjoyed it. It's quite funky, so it is.
It's all very synthy. My friend Stephen, his collection of synthesizers is dramatically increased over lockdown.
Right.
Anyway, so
just constantly buying synths all the time.
Yeah, basically.
Stuff that makes funky robot sounds. But they were a great guest to have on. They gave some brilliant advice to our young people who are maybe interested in going into music and things like that. And I think the nice part of their advice was that they just says just enjoy it. Don't make it a chore and don't do something that you don't enjoy. And that kind of goes for everything in life as well, I'd say.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think particularly with the way that just generally the arts are now and they've been treated over this period with everything that's going on in the world, the key factor is enjoyment first and foremost.
Yep.
So yeah, totally best bit of advice you could have, really.
Aye. And just talking about everything else in the world and enjoying it. We kind of touched on that in another episode of ours, and it was a mental health episode, which is on a YouTube channel as well. So if you've not checked that out, check that out for us. But Babs from the Youth Stress Centre in Kirsty came in from the hub team, and we had a brilliant chat about things that you can do during this period to keep you kind of chilled and keep you happy, because it's not the best time right now. 2020 is a bit of a write-off, but we've got the Milk Round, which is a good thing that's came for this year, I suppose. Also, a good thing that's came for this week and last week, Chris, we touched on it a wee bit last week because we were given some information, is we're back open at the complex. Back open, not to the same extent that we were open before lockdown, but we'll get there at one point. But how did your first few sessions in the music group go?
Great, yeah, it's different. I had the setups a lot different because, I mean, we were getting anything up to like 20 young people attending these sessions, which might not sound a lot for like that type of thing, but this is actually quite intensive product-based youth work that's happening. So 20 is mobbed. So we've had to reduce the amount of spaces down to 10, and it's 2 sessions, so of 5 in each session. So it's great, you know. I think the first week it was more about the young people just chatting, and they hadn't seen each other in so long. But this week we got a bit more of a bit more product, let's say, as I mentioned before. So that's on currently on our Facebook page. It's like just a wee short video of I think it's a cover of a contemporary song, something in the last 2 years. So I've not heard of it, but I played the cajon, which is like a kind of drum box on it. So
it sounded great, and I wish it was one of the shows that you guys put on. I wish it was like other young people could come along and listen to it. But
the idea is that, you know, and at the absence of that we at least each week have a photo or a video to share. That's the hope for me anyway, that we can get something that we share each week that's happening in the music group. So even though young people aren't maybe able to attend the youth complex, they're getting a vibe of some of the stuff, the limited stuff that's already happening in the complex, you know.
Excellent. No, it sounded brilliant, and I think it was good last week when Scaramanga were on, and they were saying how live music's been affected so much by it, and your guys' shows have been affected so much as well, because you would normally work for a couple of months or a month and then put on a show at the end of it. And they were talking about maybe using like the Facebook Live feature and all that. Is that something that the music group are maybe looking to do?
Possibly, yeah, quite possibly. I think it really helps with your visibility when you start to use that function.
Aye,
Like
aye,
they try to encourage you to use it and stuff.
aye.
So yeah, I think down the line, I think we're just really finding our feet right now again with it. So I mean, I was like kind of struggling with guitar and stuff. Like my hand was killing me because I hadn't really picked up the guitar. I
Right,
mean,
okay.
have these great plans during lockdown. I'm going to learn a new language. I'm going to do
Yeah.
this. I mean, all I had to do was pick up an instrument that I've known how to play since I was 14, and I barely done that.
I think that was our first episode of the Milk Round. We were like given a big list of things you
Oh
could do
yeah.
and like go and get fit, like go and learn a new language and go and learn an instrument and the things that like I'm used to maybe. Well, my background's in sport. I barely played sport. I mean, I got into golf a bit, but I barely done any of that. Your background's music. You're saying you barely picked up a guitar, so
Aye.
it
If we were
became a bit
talking
of
about sport, if the sport was sumo wrestling, then I'm getting in the right kind of weight category for that
a
now, you know what I mean?
I
So,
think a lot of us are getting up there,
aye, aye. So,
definitely. But aye, that's the complex back open. I had a wee session in last Thursday as well, and we watched some of the football. We watched the Europa League. So I got a couple of the boys for Castlemilk High School along, who are all Rangers fans, and they enjoyed the result and
it would have been a
enjoyed watching.
joyous night then. That would have been a very joyous night
Aye, it
then.
was
I
excellent.
thought
So
for.
it was one of the best goals we've seen in our life as
Oh,
well.
I know. I mean, I don't really follow the football, but there was the talk on social media about this goal. I had to go and look at it, and it reminded me a wee bit of the James McFadden goal against
Against
France,
France,
but it was better than that. It was
aye,
10 times better because he had to beat a few players first for that.
aye. It was
So, a
unreal.
fantastic goal.
Yep. So this week I've got so it's the Celtic game that's on earlier this week. So a couple of the boys from Castlemilk High School who are Celtic supporters are coming down to watch
Good.
that. And hopefully for them, they can get a good result as well because Celtic's been up and down this season, but in Europe sometimes they show up for big games. So we'll see how they get on. And that'll be happening when this podcast comes out. So you might already know the result, and you might be smiling ear to ear if you're watching this. But aye, that was last week, and that kind of covers that. So we're going to start a podcast this week, and we usually do nice news every week because it's all a bit doom and gloom when you turn the news channel on. We're hearing a lot about coronavirus, lockdowns, things like that. But let's bring a bit of happiness to the viewers for Castlemilk and the wider community. And we're going to run through quite a few stories this week. We've been sent one in for Kirsty from the hub team.
Right.
She sent one in, which was quite nice, and it was a wee guy who was writing on his mum and dad's walls and drawing pictures and all that, like, and they were getting raging, but they put it on social media, I think, and a local restaurant gave him a job to decorate their walls, and it looks brilliant. So it does. It's wee doodles of bats and stuff, and Kirsty sent me the picture, so I'll actually maybe put it up on social media as a wee kind of link to that, so you guys know what we're talking about. But that was quite nice that. Something that maybe mum and dad are frustrated about, he's got something out of it because he still enjoys art and stuff like that. It looks brilliant. I'd definitely have it in my walls or something. Another nice news story this week. Well, it was one I missed a couple of weeks ago, but recently, because football, we can't have the fans in, the Premier League in England decided to charge $14.95 for every game of the Premier League. Now, it's pretty ridiculous when fans can't get to a stadium, so they're not experiencing the football the same way. They're not getting to go with their mates and getting the social aspect of it. They're not getting the crowd atmosphere. They're not getting the live football. They're watching it on a screen that's $14.95. So what Newcastle fans decided to do the first weekend of that was say, scrap that. I think possibly we'll find a stream or something for the game, but we'll give the $14.95 that we would have paid to the Premier League to watch it to food banks, to local food banks. So like 50, 60,000 people paid their £15 to local food banks and charities. And then Liverpool fans done the same at the weekend there when they played and raised so much money for charity. So it's excellent. You're kind of sticking it to the man and helping charity at the same time.
At the end, I mean, like, let's face it, and yeah, again, I'll preface this with my opinion. I don't think footballers or even football clubs at that level are short of a few bob, really, are they?
No,
You know, and that seems quite mercenary in some ways. I know people need an option, and some will go for that option, but if you're an avid sports fan and you've got a subscription to all the kind of media services, that sure adds up, and then you're having to pay additionally here and there for these games if they're not covered on these media platforms, then yeah, it's a bit mercenary to me.
It is ridiculous. The clubs came together, and so there's 20 clubs in the English Premier League, and 19 of them voted for this to come in. The one club that didn't vote for it was Leicester. So big up
Good
Leicester.
on you, Leicester. Well done.
Big up the Leicester board, and big up the Newcastle and Liverpool fans. And it's like, this is probably my views as well, but they are pretty working class cities. Bit like Glasgow, both of those cities.
Definitely.
And the fans are like Rangers and Celtic fans, I think. Who care so much about where they're from and things like that. So it was brilliant. That. And our last nice news story also comes from the English Premier League, but it's the guy that we spoke about before on our nice news. And as a Man City fan, I really shouldn't like him because he plays for United, but it's Marcus Rashford. The work that he's doing is outstanding right now. He is going up against the whole government and showing them the way a country kind of should be run if you're a human being. And no just Marcus Rashford, he is using his platform excellently, and he knows what it's like because he came from a rough background, but so many people have followed suit now. So many wee organisations, cafes, restaurants, local authorities have even followed suit and says, no, we're giving the kids meals during the holidays, because in my opinion it's just a ridiculous decision from the government to not allow that. I don't know how you can let kids go hungry, but as I said, that's my opinion. It's no opinions of the organisation or the milk round.
No, definitely not at all. I mean, I'm in two minds whether I need to even preface that statement, because
I know
it's as you mentioned. I mean, be a bloody human being. Do you know what I mean? The irony isn't lost in the fact that they awarded Marcus Rashford an OBE and then voted down his proposal after that. It's tone deaf, and it's typical. Really, we're getting used to this. There's been a barrage of excuses and stuff that have came out since the decision has been made, and I wouldn't be surprised in a few weeks if you see some backpedaling happening. But there you go. You know.
We'll leave it at that. But big up Marcus Rashford, and
yes, definitely
thumbs up to him. So good news coming for the world of sport and the world of football, which is sometimes given a bad name. Sometimes football fans and players are given a bad name. So there is some good guys out there. So that's some nice news for this week. Hopefully that's brought a wee smile to your faces, guys, if you're watching or listening. And hopefully this next section brings a smile to your face as well. And it's what's on my telly and what's in my belly. So everybody usually enjoys this part. I know I enjoy it because you bring out this amazing food idea and I go, right, I'll need to get on that. And then just like I had high hopes in lockdown, I never done any of the suggestions that you made, even though they all looked brilliant. I was like, see the flatbreads at the start though? I was like, I need to get on them. And then the Yorkshire puddings a couple of weeks ago, I was like, right, I need to get on them. Have I done any of them yet?
Nah. No. There's like a kind of theme running there. It's just heavy carbs. Anything carby is appealing to you, obviously. As it is to most people, to be honest.
Well, I'm trying to get that sumo wrestling scholarship. Come on.
Well, absolutely. I think I'm well on the way. So what's in my belly this week? So I think I have actually got one, because I think we mentioned before we were recording this, it was going to be quite quick. I'll mention the fact that the CYC Cafe is open.
Yeah.
So I have been having my usual order, which is this contributes to my sumo wrestling career, I would assume. A double chicken tikka wraps, chips, salad, coleslaw, with the best coleslaw in the land, right, as I have mentioned before in previous episodes. So that has been my kind of go-to order. I will mention as well, and I've not got any fancy pictures because we've got a guest this week and I'd like to get through that. But I did make a garlic, cream and white wine mushrooms on ciabatta. And it's if you like, you have to obviously like mushrooms. And that's an opinion splitter for some people, so I'm not going to force that on anyone. But that is a great combination. It was based on a kind of a Jamie Oliver recipe. It's because I'm a big Gordon Ramsay fan, and they hate each other. Big time. So it is literally chuck some onions with some garlic, fry them off, chuck the mushrooms in, add the cream. Add the white wine, cook the alcohol off, put the cream on, and then get some nice ciabatta, get it in the oven, chuck it on there. It's a lovely wee kind of, I would say it's more like an appetizer, but you can bulk it out into like a main. If you just get a whole ciabatta and just chuck a pot full of the stuff on it if you want. So I'll mention that as well. That's been what's in my belly.
Excellent.
And what's been on my telly? So unlike yourself, that's been maybe tuning into a lot of horror movies, I've been doing a lot of kind of Halloween family movies. Nice. So I'd like to mention that I did take one of your recommendations. Myself and Katrina watched. We only got halfway through it, and then we were doing something, but we watched the start of Hubie Halloween. We're going to watch the end of it.
Right, okay.
And she thoroughly enjoyed it. She liked the kind of slapstick humour of it all. So, and I quite enjoyed it as well, because it's just kind of daft. But we've been watching various ones, but the standout, and it was a surprising one for me, was the Addams Family from all the way back. In fact, I'm not even going to tell you the year. When do you think the Addams Family came out, the film?
The first one, Addams Family, or Addams Family Values?
No, the first one.
First one, Addams Family. I'm going to say 1990.
You are almost spot on, Lee. It was 1991.
Right, okay. Right.
I was dead surprised, because I was like, God, that's early, really early. Mm-hmm. But then when you look at some, you look at Christina Ricci, who was playing Wednesday. She's only a wee girl at the time, you know what I mean? So it's just daft fun. It's really daft. I think the humour's quite good in it as well.
It's excellent. We watched Addams Family Values all night.
And there you go.
That's a sequel to it, so brilliant.
So Christopher Lloyd is Uncle Fester. It's just all in the face.
Aye.
You know what I mean, and all that. He acts with his face more than what he says in that film. And then you've got Angelica Houston as Morticia as well. And I just realised when I wrote down, because I wrote it down on my phone, Morticia is basically mortician.
Oh, right, aye.
Because it auto-correct me to mortician. Right. And I went, that's where that name came from. There you go. So
that was it was also funny, that was mine and Brooke's Halloween costumes last year. Gomez and
Morticia. There you go.
I think I mentioned our Halloween costumes from a couple of years ago when we spoke about Back to the Future, and you asked for a picture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect all our Halloween costumes together and send you a picture of what I like.
It's really funny because Halloween has changed for us quite a bit, because my youngest son, I've got one, I've only one son, but the youngest Jack, his birthday's actually on Halloween.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so it kind of changes. It's like, it's now Jack's Halloween birthday, you know. That's what we call it, you know. So it's not just Halloween, it's his birthday as well.
So he gets hunters and hunters and hunters of sweeties. Aye, good. That's the way to do it. And I like how you've turned up as Freddie Krueger today with your shirt as well. That was good.
Thank you. Yeah. Or is I didn't even need to use any makeup either. Do you know what I mean?
Is it Freddie or Dennis the Menace, Chris? Who is it?
I'll go Freddie, because he's more of a victim of duking for chips.
I'm keeping you away for that cafe. You're not doing any shifts in there.
His face is like a fish supper. Saw chips. Anyway,
I like that.
We said we're going to be short here, and we're going away with it.
Talk nonsense. So so I big up Addams Family. That's a good film, good recommendation. What did you watch it on? Sorry, quickly.
Netflix, I think it was.
Brilliant. Yep. So it's available on there. Excellent, good stuff. So what was on my telly this week? I'll try and be quick. So there's been a reality competition show, kind of like I'm a Celebrity or Strictly Come Dancing, something like that, but it's more like Big Brother mixed in with it, and it's called The Bridge. It's been on for 3 Sundays in a row now on STV, and you can watch it on STV Player, and basically it's 12 competitors working as a team, building a bridge to an island across water to win £100,000, but only one of them can win in the end. I don't know how they're going to work that out in the end. It's no explained the full thing, but they're halfway through their trial and they're not even halfway through building the bridge. They're not at the halfway point. I won't spoil too much. I'm on episode 3, so I shouldn't have probably said that last bit. So, but aye, it's an easy watch. So it is. I think the episodes are an hour long. It's getting a wee bit too much Big Brothery, like
Right. Okay.
people bitching about other people and things like that, and like that's not what I want to watch. I want to watch people doing the challenge that they're there for instead of moaning at each other. But I suppose that's part of one of these shows where you don't get enough food, you don't get enough sleep.
That's why people tune into these things. They want to see. They want to see the arguments. They want to see the drama. I've been binging Hell's Kitchen, which is quite a similar premise. It's like they're in a kitchen and they get eliminated each week, and one of them goes away with a big prize. It's very much a similar setup. It's just in a kitchen, and I'd be lying to say that I wasn't like. It's always they're arguing, you know.
Let's watch another episode. What's going to happen?
So. Yeah.
So that's probably on STV Player, because that's what it's been on. We've just been recording it and watching it. It's on a Sunday night though, so that's where you can watch it. But aye, easy watch, pretty good, and probably everybody who's watching is able to watch it as well. So for all ages. What's in my belly this week? So for my lunch this week, I've had the same thing for 2 days in a row, but mixed up the fillings. But the main part of what I want to tell you is it's a Lebanese flatbread. It's like, I think it's either the make or the name of the flatbread is a paninette, like a panini baguette. But the bread's amazing. So it's not as stodgy as a naan bread from an Indian takeaway, and it's not as light as like a meze bread from Turkey. It's just in between, and it's perfect. And I've been taking them to lunch, and they're massive, so they're like that size. And you get them from Asda, 90 pence for 5 of them. And I've been putting in different fillings, so you can have like chicken, ham, any meat, or just a salad if you want, and cheese and different sauces and all that. But I'd go for them Lebanese flatbreads. Aye, that's what they're called. I'm sure that's what they're called, and I think paninette is just the make that Asda do. But because they're no too stodgy, like I like a naan bread for an Indian takeaway restaurant, which isn't probably the same as naan bread from actual like real authentic naan bread.
It's just the way they make it, Lee. So I mean, what they do is they put it in a like this kind of like, it almost looks like a kind of boxing glove type thing.
Right.
And they stick the bread onto it and they put it in the tandoor oven, so it's freshly made. And I think that's the idea, because if you get like, say, like you get a curry from an Indian, that bread's always freshly made, but see the next day, it's pretty kind of poor. So I think when anything you buy shop but they need to put some sort of preservative or cook it in a certain way that it will maintain its integrity a bit more. So I think that's the only real difference there, you know what I mean?
But it's lovely, honestly, it is lovely. And you can probably like just have a flatbread and like coat it with some garlic butter or something, make it like a garlic flatbread or something. But really cheap as well. So available to the students that I've been talking to for the last couple of weeks on my What's in My Belly. But we'll try to be quick, and we weren't very quick there, but we'll try to be quick because we've got another great guest on this week.
We do.
So would you like to introduce the guest before we bring them on?
So we have Paddy from Castleton Housing Association, and Paddy's been working in Castlemilk for a good while now, and doing lots of different work. So I think rather than me battering on about it, I think we should just bring her in.
Sounds great.
And we'll start as we kind of mean to go on. So hopefully with the joys of science and technology, here she comes in.
Here we go. Beam her up.
Yay!
Hi.
So we are live, Paddy. So we've just been doing our first part of our podcast, and we ask all our guests, and they come on, what's on your telly and what's in your belly. So over to you.
Over to me. I don't actually have a telly.
Yeah. Okay.
I've not had a telly for a long time, but I do watch things on my laptop, if that counts.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I'm the same. I get rid of my telly, I think, in 2007. And I'd only streamed things and downloaded things from that point onwards. So I'm totally with you on that.
Aye.
So what's on my non-telly? I just finished watching the Queen's Gambit and also Pose, like finished all of Pose. Don't know if you have watched that.
I've not seen that.
No, you could tell us a wee bit about it.
About Pose.
Yep.
So it's about kind of subculture of Black and ethnic minority LGBTQIA plus folk in New York, like ages ago. So it's kind of how the ballroom dances started and people how kind of drag started and things like that. So it's really cool. You should watch it.
Sounds interesting. We had an episode covering that very subject a few weeks ago as well. So yeah.
I think that'll appeal to a lot of our viewers as well, if it's kind of surrounded about drag, because our All Sorts group have a few people who enjoy drag at the complex. So aye, definitely. Where can you find that then, Paddy? Netflix. Okay, great. Aye, sounds good. So the second part of it is what's in your belly.
What's in my belly? Like a huge stir fry. Me and my flatmate made what we thought was food enough for 3 days, and we literally just ate it all. So got hundreds of noodles and vegetables and loads of things like that. It's tasty.
Yeah, great. I think that's always good at this time of year when it is getting colder. And that I spoke about like having a big pot of soup last week, and like when it gets to these winter months and it's getting quite cold outside, you want something that's quite filling. So you said that's going to last you for 3 days, but it might actually still last you for 3 days when it's in your belly, because it might keep you warm for quite a while.
Aye, maybe.
Aye, excellent. So that's what's on your telly, what's in your belly. But now we'd like to just do like a kind of wee interview with you, just finding out what you do in the community and what kind of things you're involved in. So we've written down a few questions, but we'll kind of try and make it as informal as possible, like we do with all our guests. But I'll just shoot with the first question then, if that's okay.
Sure.
So can you tell us a bit about what you do at Castleton Housing Association?
Sure. So I'm the community team coordinator at Castleton Housing, which is in Castlemilk Stables. And there's a whole range of stuff that we do as a team. So the team consists of myself, community woodland officer Stuart, Jodie, who I stole from the Castlemilk Youth Complex when she worked there, Jodie, who's the participation funding assistant, and we've got a bunch of kind of freelance workers who are like community artists, digital workers, volunteer development workers, things like that. So my role has kind of ended up being a kind of managerial role, so I oversee the team, and together as a team, we basically, the kind of short version, which I'm making very long, is that we kind of work with folk that in the community to get a better understanding of what it is they want us to be doing, what they think needs done in the area, like local issues basically, and work with them to kind of design projects and make things happen basically. So that might be things ranging from putting on kind of events and activities in the woodland so that it's a safe place for folk, so that folk feel that it's their park and their woodland, and things like making sure that people know that Castlemilk Stables is a place that they can come take part in lots of activities. Obviously not so much at the moment. And that's partly to do with an issue people tell us about, which is social isolation. So we kind of try and design different projects that combat that. So things like that, ranging as well to other things like digital inclusion. So we've just kind of started a project around that, and we work in partnership to try and tackle these issues. So we got funding. That's another big part of my job, is to get funding to do all this, to start a digital lending library, whereby we got 120 tablets and 120 MiFi devices, set up all the paperwork required and everything, and asked local organisations, including the UthA, do you want some of these devices to then lend out to folk who would benefit most, because you'll know yourself that that's becoming a more of a social justice issue, is that folk don't have access to things, and it's so needed at the moment. So things like that, and making sure folk have a voice, have a say. Big part of my job's participation, so trying to create different ways that folk can have a say, so ranging from kind of creative consultations where folk might come to an event and, you know, draw what they like about their area, but what they might want improved, and surveys, focus groups, things like that. And then as a team, we kind of gather a picture of, oh, do you know, so many folk are saying that and so many folk are saying that. That must be the thing that folk want sorted. Then we ask folk to get involved and hold us accountable and make sure we're doing it right, basically. I could keep going on, but I just get pure into this and I'm like, then we do this, then we do that. But yeah, we do kind of loads as a team. Yeah, don't know if that answers your question.
My next
I
question.
think you're definitely kind of covering. I mean, I've been down a few times throughout the time you've started down there, and I think I've seen all sorts of stuff like Japanese drums and all sorts of things. I think I brought somebody down. We did a kind of music performance from one of the members of the music group. So, so there's definitely a variety. But so you've been in Castlemilk for a while now. How long, in fact?
I was thinking that it's nearly 5 years.
Jesus, I thought it would be something like that, because that's what happens. She just seems like, oh, she's only been here a few years or whatever, like 5 years. So, I mean, when you started, what was your kind of first impressions of Castlemilk?
Well, I'm lucky in a sense that, so before this job, I was a youth worker, and it was a type of job where I went to different schools across Glasgow and delivered certain programmes, mainly around anti-violence and anti-sectarianism, or any of the isms that emerged. So it might have been creating and designing programmes around things like racism or any of the isms, sexism, that kind of stuff. But I was lucky that some of those schools were in Castlemilk, so I'd already kind of been in and out of the area. And then a job before that, I looked after children who'd been kind of removed from their parents for various reasons, and again was linked in with the local schools here. So my impressions, like initially through those jobs, were basically, this is somewhere I want to work, basically, because obviously you get to know the wee ones. So it was primary schools, and just I don't know, just pure good chat, hilarious, lots of opinions, lots of, I don't know, drive, just the kind of wee ones that you like being around, and also the kind of teachers that you got to know. You just get a sense of an area, don't you, when you're going in and out. But then with this job, you obviously have to get to know all the organisations and more people, and impressions from that were a mixture of generally folk being like really welcoming, mixed with folk here, well, make sure I get things done. Do you know what I mean? So like people being like, oh, welcome, but I hope you're not just helicoptering in, because we don't need you to tell us how to run our community. So like I love that though, because community development practice is that working with the folk that live there, because they know best what needs done. So I really like that, where it was like, right, I'm going to be held accountable. Like folk are going to make sure I do my job well, and I like that. So I really enjoyed that. And again, just now the wee things that you notice in places, like people say hi to each other, which I know sounds a bit daft, but you don't get that in a lot of places. And again, just the kind of good chat and like the hilarity that comes with working with young people in various ways. So that was my thinking back.
Yeah,
I think it's quite a kind of like, because I'm not
my impressions.
I'm not from,
I'm sure there's loads more going on in my head.
I'm not originally from Castlemilk, and I've been working Castlemilk for a long time now, and I've also kind of accessed kind of the youth complex as a young person, maybe way back in the ages when dinosaurs roamed the earth and stuff like that. And I think the difference of Castlemilk to maybe other housing schemes in Scotland, or even just in Glasgow, is that there was, from roughly about the 90s, there was a lot of money spent in Castlemilk, and that kind of continued, you know. So I thought, I don't know, it just kind of seemed that Castlemilk's a very kind of unique housing scheme in a lot of ways. It's still affected by a lot of the kind of same problems that other housing schemes are, but as you say, there's a kind of friendliness to it it's different. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what
I know, and it's
trying
hard
to
because you
say
end
there.
up becoming pure biased over time, don't you?
Ah,
You're
you
just
do, you
like,
do.
this is the
That's
best
it.
place. But I think when you're saying about like money being spent in places, I think it's something that I noticed, and people can obviously disagree, or folk listening might think I'm wrong as well. But it's just that when you start looking around and you're like, oh, there's the Geely Peace, and there's the Youthy, and there's Kojak, and there's this. But then when you trace it back, you're like, aye, that's because folk that live here demanded their rights.
Exactly.
That's because they were like,
That's it.
actually, we deserve this.
Mhm.
We know we need it, and we know what the solution is. And it was generally local folks that started these projects that are really embedded in the community and are now seen as best practice across lots of different areas. So that's, I think, what I kind of mean about how it was welcoming. But you get a sense that, like, aye, right, Henry, you're going to come in here and tell us how to do it. Check out what we've done ourselves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
no,
you're a
that's
bit
it.
like, for me, impressions were, oh, I'm going to learn so much working here as well, like how to get things done, but also how to do it right and how to learn from mistakes as you go and all that kind of stuff. But
No, there's definitely like a sense of pride in the community. Like you were saying, we're going to be biased towards it, working in it. And I was brought up in Castlemilk and that, so I was speaking in the school today to some young people, and I was like, it is the best place in the world. And I was being genuine. I was being like, no, Castlemilk is the best place in the world. Glasgow is the best place in the world. But there is that sense of like new community working together, and that kind of shone through in the Castlemilk Together project. And it's like a partnership of all different projects around Castlemilk. But could you just tell us a wee bit about what Castlemilk Together is, and where it came from and where the idea came from?
So Castlemilk Together, full title, its Sunday name, it's Castlemilk Together Community Food Action. And it actually started, I was chatting to someone else about this today, because they were asking me, was, you know, the Hideaway Cafe, Sports Centre. So Thomas there, I think now 4 years ago, this is again the shortened version, Thomas there was like wanting to do a free Christmas meal on Christmas Day for those who predominantly might have been alone on the day. So because I can't help but get my nose in everything, I was like, oh, I wonder if he wants a hand. So a few of us basically were like, look, do you want a hand to that? That's a pure mammoth task, is to make sure it's like done well. Obviously, you need to make sure the folk that would benefit most actually know about it. So all the engagement around it, also the kind of, do you need a hand with the funding, like just all those things. Also, I was a waitress for 6 years, so I'm like, do you need a waitress? Like, what can we be doing to help? So from that, him and I, Castlemilk Parish Church and Urban Roots, kind of got around the table being like, right, we'll help in whatever way we can. Did the event. Most of the work was obviously Thomas, and we were like just helping him in whatever way. And then after that, those of us again around the table were like, do you know, we should really continue meeting around this, because initially it was obviously about folk who might be alone, but it brought up conversations around obviously food poverty, food insecurity, where's this supermarket that's apparently coming, like all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't even called Castlemilk Together then, it was basically just a bunch of us. So we continued to meet around that topic. And through time, we were like, we really should name ourselves so folk know what we're trying to do. We need to create some aims so that, again, we don't just veer off into loads of things which can happen and then you lose your focus. So we created aims, being, off the top of my head, creating platforms for folk to have their voice heard about this issue, about food insecurity, to challenge why it happens and try and come up with solutions around it, and also to work in partnership to solve it, in partnership mainly being with the community as the main partner, and those who might experience food insecurity. So that's kind of how it started, and then I guess it grew because as Castlemilk Together, we applied for the Glasgow City Council food programme, kind of previously known as Holiday Hunger, and that was 3 years ago, and Castleton applied on behalf of kind of the partnership And I guess when you've got a bit of money like that, you kind of have to say, well, this is Castlemilk together. And so we just get formed a bit. And then obviously with coronavirus, how could I not even remember what that was called there? Oh my God, I'm like, what's... So just obviously with that kind of starting, because we were a kind of strong partnership anyway, we were able, like I just sent around an email to the thread being like, I think we need to, like, you'll all be thinking the same, but I think we need to organise a partnership response to this rather than all of us being like, what do we do? Like, and obviously straight away, everyone's like, I'll help, I'll help, I'll help, I'll help. So quite quickly we were able to be like, right, what have you got? And somebody's like, I've got a van, and you're like, right, awesome, I'll have that. And then someone's like, oh, I've got people, right, I'll have that. And then obviously there was logistical problems around where do we put food? And then the Jaylee's like, well, do you want our hall? And then just that's kind of how it happened. So quite quickly we were able to establish a framework around how to respond to this and put agreements and safeguarding and all that in place to enable us to respond really quickly. And again, because as Castlemilk Together we had funding through the food programme, it meant we actually had a pot of money sitting that we could then get hundreds of food into the area, store it, and then ensure that folk that lived there had easier access to food. So that's kind of how that happened. And obviously the Youth Day and Streetwise and all that were, in fact, Chris Lang was the first person, like straight away, and we all know he's no great at replying to emails, Chris, if you're listening. So he was straight away like, I'm in, what do you need? So everybody straight away responded, and that's kind of how we done it. And I guess that's testament to, as you were saying, like the kind of partnership working, because we can't solve these issues. We can't respond to a pandemic by ourselves. Like whilst we're all great organisations, we are relatively small. Like all the housings are small associations. Like we're all good at what we do, but not huge organisations. So that's kind of what happened during that. And then currently, Castlemilk Together which consists of most, if you think of a local organisation in the area, they're part of it in some way. We're just currently looking at trying to create space to kind of reflect on everything that happened, and learn from it, and then see what are we now, because things have changed. Like we have grown with regards to who's involved, but also like kind of throughout the pandemic we were applying for like fuel poverty type stuff and grants for uniforms and all that. So we have moved away from food. I mean, they're all interlinked, aren't they? Like if you're someone who struggles to access food for whatever reason, then you're more at risk of other things. So we're just currently a bit like, right, how do we either rein this in, or how do we expand but do it in a structured way so that it works and we don't just kind of get a wee bit lost in it all. So we're currently doing that, and that is open. But that's the aim, is for that to be community led. Do you know what I mean? So anyone who's involved, who's interested in how these things work or what we do, we have kind of regular Zoom meetings, or what we do is create wee working groups where folk might be more kind of comfortable with that. So it's been, it's good. Castlemilk Together, totally love it.
So if somebody was want to become involved in that you just kind of alluded to that there, where would you find the information for these Zoom meetings?
So because you know yourself, with Zoom, in an ideal world you would just be like, here's the details, anyone come on, but it has to be kind of folk sign up so that there's not, is it Zoom bombing, like, so there's not like your random folk coming on and all that. So folk can contact me initially if they want to, or our Facebook page. It's myself and Jodie that are the eyes behind that and that respond. So folk want to know a bit more about it, about what we actually do there, or what would be required of them, or whatever, they can give us a shout. They're generally once a month, as I say, on Zoom. Folk can be updated what's going on, and also because it's an action group, it tends to be there's actions. It's not just you come and go, that was a pure waste of my time. Like, why was I there? There's generally quite interesting work that comes out of it. So I
think what we'll do, we'll get the details of that off you and we'll put it in the description of this video as well so that people can easily access that if they're watching this. When you're mentioning it's kind of evolved quite a bit, so currently there was somebody watching this video right now, what for families kind of experiencing, say, hardship in any form, whatever that form would take, what is the kind of local support that's currently available out for them now?
So there's probably more than what I'm aware of as well, but what I'm aware of through Castlemilk Together is there's still 2 kind of food pickups from Castlemilk Parish Church on a Monday and Thursday, 9 till 12. Again, I can give you that information where folk can pick up the kind of bag of messages that folk were receiving throughout Castlemilk Together. So a bag of messages, kind of no questions asked. We're not into kind of means or needs assessments, where our approach is food solidarity approach, whereby it's, if you're saying you need a random bag of messages, chances are you need the random bag of messages, do you know what I mean? So they can get that there, and then also other kind of, you know, welfare rights support and things like that. Most housing associations have got money advice teams where they're really passionate about folk accessing what they're entitled to, as well as places like the Castlemilk Law and Money Advice Centre. They are open for phone appointments. So the advice is still out there on how to access what you're entitled to. And then other immediate needs like food is still in the area. Wider things like well-being, kind of what I was talking about before, like a big part of what we do at Castlemilk Stables is about promoting well-being, preventing kind of social isolation. We're still doing a lot of things like that, mainly online at the moment. So we've got weekly online opportunities like creative writing, storytelling, art workshops, virtual woodland walks, which is one of the things that we started right at the start, where we run the woodland programme, and straight away we were like, right, how do we bring the outdoors indoors, because we know how good that is for your well-being. So there was like local volunteers who, as part of their daily walk, like as a family, like filmed certain parts of the woods for us. A 16-year-old went and found random plants that the woodlands office, like, can you go find this? And he's like, aye, no bother, if you're walking about, try to take photos. And then from that, we made virtual woodland walks. People logged into Zoom and they experienced the outdoors from the comfort of their own home. So we're still trying to deliver things like that. As I said about the digital inclusion, we've still got our youth advisory panel who meet weekly, who are for 14 to 25-year-olds, and they help us design projects. They volunteer at events. One of them just got another one just got the Duke of Edinburgh through volunteering with us. They advise us on what we should be doing. Like their most recent thing that I'm pure chuffed for them is like 2 years ago. We were invited to go up to Stirling for a workshop around green space. So it was with Green Space Scotland and Youth Scotland. So they went up and they are really passionate about the woods, and they did like workshops around what does your green space need, like what would be good for it basically. And for a while they were totally obsessed with all the signs being damaged. I don't know how often you walk in the woods, but for ages you're like, is that supposed to be a sign? Because it was just like, it just wasn't a sign, do you know what I mean? And as we know that if a green space in particular looks like it's not looked after, then there's less of a motivation for people to look after it. Do you know what I mean? It's like if there's a bit of litter, it's just something in your brain's like, well, not us obviously, but some folk are like, do you know, if nobody cares about here, then why should I care about it? So they were obsessed about this, like we need signs for the park, and it's something local folk have told us for ages, but to try to get funding for something that folk think's just going to get damaged is actually really difficult. And even though we say, you know, things have changed, yeah, Castlemilk Park had a bit of a reputation in the past, but things have changed, like people put a lot of work into it. But they managed to get the funding through attending this workshop. Youth Scotland were like, right, we believe you, we'll give you a bit of money for, I think at the start it was like 3 signs, like bit of money. And also something else they were really passionate about was we need more people in there doing maintenance and using the space, because again, the more people see it being looked after, it's just better. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they got in total £3,000 to develop this project, got the signs in. We used the other bit of money to do a pilot project and get a freelance woodland worker in to do some volunteer work. And they were both like short-term projects, and they just worked like really well. The signs are still there, and because it worked so well, we were able to apply for just more and more pots of money to keep this worker on. And then basically 2 years down the road, all of the woodland is now signed because funders saw that they were right, they've not been damaged. And now by the end of December, everywhere that needs a sign in the woods has got a sign, because other funders like Paths for All believed in the project, because they were like, oh, you're right, like nobody has, that's not been damaged. And then with the volunteer development worker, I'm actually interviewing folk tomorrow for someone to have a 2-year post, because again, we were able to show, because of these young people's idea, look at all the benefits. And again, it's mainly to do with well-being, but look at the benefits to the green space, look at the benefits to folk who've been coming along. This is a brilliant project. The youth group designed it, and they're like, well, I don't know what they were saying, but in my head, they're like, aye, that's fair, true. And then they gave us the money. So for us, we just want to showcase that, as that's a group of young folk who went to a workshop in Stirling and were like, this is what would look really good. This is what would work. And then we believed in them. Youth Scotland and Green Scotland believed in them. And then now we're at a place where we can hire somebody for another 2 years, and the whole woodland has got signage. So that pure gives me the goosebumps, because I'm like, that's so like it's quite a hard sell to young folk to say, you know, come along. We understand there's barriers, like we're a housing. We know that that's not the coolest place to be, but we do listen to folks' ideas, and we'll do what we can to make them happen. And then we just get too enthusiastic about them. We're like, oh, why do we do this? Why do we do that? And folk can get awards around it, or just come because they're bored and want to go somewhere. So yeah, again, I could just keep going on about that. I get like too into it, but
no, it sounds
That's a
great.
good idea.
It's great work, and it is really great that it's people from the community driving it forward, and young people especially for the community, putting that work in. So it sounds brilliant, and they actually look good. So they designs, I've seen a lot of them. But this time of year, I suppose, for the housing, and well, I suppose for Castlemilk together, but mostly for the housing this time of year, like Halloween time, the stables is always a great time. Probably going to be different this year, I suppose. But is there anything else coming up in the future from yourselves, or from your involvement in Castlemilk together, that you'd like to let our audience know, our viewers and our members and things like that know that's coming up?
yeah, so you're right, this time of year would normally have the illumination, the spooky walk. I'm actually just like wide-eyed at the memory, because it's like hectic that week, but we totally love it. But we did redesign it. So this week there has been Pumpkin Festival pickups, we've been calling it, where people were picking up activities and stuff like that. So that happened Monday, Tuesday. We've got another one on Friday, 3 till 5, where folk can pick up Halloween movie packs. So all the treats you'd expect from that, you know, your popcorn, your cake making, something like that. And other I'm like, Jodie, what is it we're doing again? So we're doing that on Friday. And again, this is probably a week that we've all been like, it is a real shame. It's the first time for years we've not done a spooky walk. And last year was a total highlight, because we did a call out again for like volunteers, like partners, and we had 52 people attached to different organisations who came and volunteered that night. And we've got this amazing photo, and it's just like, again, every organisation you can think of was there supporting in some way, which, yeah, it was just brilliant. But so we're doing that Friday, and then what we're doing, because of obviously the current climate, is we have redesigned everything that we intended to do for the full year, but we're only kind of advertising them about 2 weeks in advance because we always have to make last minute changes.
Yeah.
So all I can say is to folk to kind of keep an eye on our social media pages, or give the stables a phone and ask to speak to someone at the community team, because we will be doing stuff over Christmas. We just don't know what it looks like yet. And on that, we're totally open to ideas, because we're aware that people across the globe, I suppose, have been having to adapt. So folk are saying really cracking ideas in other areas. We want to know about it, and we want to work with folk to make it happen. And yeah, and folk have got their own ideas. One of the things that we've developed is a Wellbeing Community Chest, where during lockdown you just saw folk doing pure amazing stuff like street bingo, or making stuff for the kids in their area. So again, we spoke to a funder, and they're like, any chance you would give us some money, because we reckon there's so many good ideas out there, and they maybe only need a tenner to get started. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just need someone to right, that's fine. So we the funder said yes, and we created a wellbeing panel of community members who every month receive idea submissions from the community, what they think will improve wellbeing in their area, from as close in as your actual close to your street, to your wider area, and then to all of Castlemilk. And we've received 8 so far. So folk, if folk are do you know what, no one's doing what I think would work, then apply for up to £200 it is of resources. And what we'll do as well is we'll get the resources on behalf of the applicant, but also we'll be like, look, do you need us for anything? There's someone doing a wee kind of Halloween event in their own street on Saturday, and we're like, do you want us to marshal? Do you want us to be your volunteers? So we're kind of trying to turn the tables a wee bit. So we've had really good applications. There's a couple of families who wanted litter picks and high vis and gloves and bin bags, so they go out litter picking as a family in the woods, and you're just like, that's so nice. So that's something that folk can do if they want, and we'll put support in place. If they want to make it into a huge project, we'll help them do that, or if they're quite happy with it being a wee project, that's fine as well. And I think I'd mentioned other stuff that we're doing is online. So we do have weekly online opportunities, like the art, creative writing, the youth advisory panel either meets online or in person. It depends on the restrictions. And yeah, we will do stuff over Christmas. So don't know if you've got any ideas what we should do over Christmas, actually.
Oh, I know you're in that kind of similar bracket where we just don't know what goalposts we'll be playing with.
I know.
When it comes round, but
I know.
We've just we'd mentioned this probably before you came on air, that we've just started actually doing limited building based sessions again, and that's only really started over the last couple of weeks. So we're just trying to build that up from there right now. Obviously,
it's tricky, isn't it?
It's very tricky, especially coming into the winter now as well, because in the summer it's kind of easy because you can say, right, well, I can do this activity, I can just make it outside, but it's a bit more in the winter. So yeah, it's the same, and I would say the same to any of our kind of audience members, is for anything in the youth complex, just keep monitoring our social medias as well, so that's the best we can offer with regards to getting the information out there, I suppose.
Aye, something as well that just now I'm just making this a call out. I'm like, can anyone help with this? Is that it's been totally playing in our minds that ordinarily how we would tell people is we would make quite an effort of putting posters and leaflets in a range of places, so the youthy, the library, the shopping centre. Folk actually, oh my god, there they come, because we're like, hi, can you just litter your own window with us, please? And we'll obviously not be able to do that because nowhere's open. So we've been more reliant on what we'd like on social media, and we know that's not a good way to engage. We know people aren't finding out as much. So we've done a call out to create a group of poster people, which worked during Castlemilk Together, because folk want to volunteer. So basically the way it will work is that we'll make posters with kind of generic information about what support's available in your community, what's around, like where and how to access what's happening basically. And if people can pick up the posters at the stables, they'll be laminated with cable ties, you'll get your gloves, your hand sanitizer, and we're just asking folk to post their own bit. So literally your favourite lamppost in your street, if anyone's got one of them. I don't know if anyone's got a favourite lamppost, but just pop a poster on it. And if it's something folk can commit to, even if it's like once a month, and it's literally just posting your own bit and taking a bit of responsibility in that. Once, if it's an out-of-date poster, just take it down. Do you know what I mean? That's all we're asking. And we think it would really help us reach those who aren't finding out about what we're doing, because normally they would come in for a blether, or they'd be at the library, or they'd be in the youth aid or whatever. So we've already got a few folk who've got back, but again, if folk are, I know you do all your youth awards and stuff, but again, it's technically volunteering. If it's something that some young folk want to do to get up their volunteer hours, and it's really, it might not feel like you're doing a lot of volunteering, but I can guarantee that it could really positively impact on someone's life if they see a poster and they go, I didn't know there was free food there, I'm going to go there next week, kind of thing. So if anyone wants to do that, they can also contact.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Funny you mentioned about favourite lampposts. This is completely off kind of subject, but my friend, is one of my best friends really, because I was best man at his wedding, so I've known him from like high school and stuff like that. They're talking about favourite lampposts. Now, he had a track record of I think he broke his nose about 7 or 8 times in the whole time he was in high school. And I think it was like about 4 or 5 of those times was walking into a lamppost.
Oh my gosh. Well,
the same lamppost.
The same. That's hilarious.
So that was definitely his favourite lamppost.
The third time I broke my arm, which just gives an indication into how clumsy I am, was because I cycled into a lamppost.
Yeah.
While I was doing my paper round. And did I finish the paper round? Yes, I did.
Oh.
I think I should have that in my CV.
You should do, yeah.
I'm like, I think that's pure impressive.
So, and another thing that you could possibly put in your CV is the winner of the Milk Round quiz, perhaps. Which,
it's coming.
If winner now means like got 0 answers, then yeah, that's fine.
No, Chris, it's not been great this season on the Milk Round. We kind of made a football analogy, and then you got the 3 points that you needed that week that we didn't have a guest on. Then last week, Scaramanga came to our home ground and took a 3 point from
I'm not going to get any of these.
I believe they used the Little Mix formation, Lee. He asked me a question about Little Mix. What chance have I got? What chance have I got with that?
He was pretending he didn't know the members of Little Mix.
Oh God, okay.
Well, this week we have a real names quiz.
Oh no.
I'm going to give you a celebrity's real name and you need to give me their stage name.
Okay.
What? Is that even a thing?
It is a thing. It's a thing.
Okay.
I put a lot of work into these quizzes, Paddy. Thanks very much. Is
Sorry. That? I mean, I should know. Obviously, my real name isn't Paddy. Do you know what I
mean? Is your real name then?
Well,
is that a trade secret?
Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you once I'm a celebrity.
All right. Okay.
In the Milk Round quiz. So I'm gonna give you a real name of someone, and you need to give me a stage name. But Paddy, since you're the challenger, you're allowed to pick if you go first or second.
First, please.
You go first. Okay. Now the way it works, Paddy, is if you get it wrong, it passes over to Chris, and he can get a point for it, vice versa. And then he gets his question after that. So if you get it wrong, he answers correctly, he gets his question again. So he can go 2-0 up. Okay. Right, so here's your first question, Paddy. Reginald Dwight.
What? Pass, please.
Take a guess.
I don't even know one stage name. I can't even think of a stage name. Elton John.
Correct.
No way! Oh my god, I've never got a question right of anything in my whole
He
life.
was going to pass on that. I was desperate to get in there. I was desperate to get in there.
Elton John it there. How does that come?
It's the season 2 hoodoo, Lee.
Oh my
It's the
god, I'm
season 2
so
hoodoo.
like, can we just end it and just say I won?
Nope.
I'm like, oh sorry, my connection's really bad. Bye.
That's a forfeit then, Paddy. That goes down as a Chris
okay,
win.
no.
So question 2 goes to you, Chris. Georgios Paniotou.
Is it not George Michael?
It's George Michael, correct?
Yeah.
He was born in Greece, George Michael. Aye. So question 3, it's one each, Paddy. So question 3 goes to you. Norma Jean Mortensen.
You can see why they changed their name. Does that count as like a half point? Some kind of I can give you an opinion piece on it now. Norma Jean Mortensen, Lady Gaga.
Is incorrect. So we'll pass it over to Chris. Chris, do you know this one?
No idea. I'm going to say something like Madonna.
Madonna is incorrect as well. It was Marilyn Monroe.
All right, yeah, of course. And that relates to Elton John, because I think he mentions it in Candle in the Wind as one of the lyrics. Something Norma Jean, something like that.
Is that why it says that?
Oh, it must be. Because that's what the song was originally, who it was originally about. So
Okay.
There you go. Did I get a point for that?
Doesn't get you a point, sorry. But you can get a point here and go 2-1 in the lead with question 4. William Michael Albert Broad.
Is it to me?
No, it's me.
All right.
Oh, that's putting me on edge because she's wanting to jump in. Can you say the name again, please?
William Michael Albert Broad. William Broad. Paddy looks like she knows it.
I don't. I'm gonna say something like Sting.
Sting is incorrect. Paddy, have you got an answer to steal the point?
I know that I look like it. I was just let me think of a name. Just one name, Paddy, come on. Marilyn Manson.
Is incorrect. The clue there was his first name, William. You had to kind of shorten that to a nickname.
But Billy Bragg.
No, it's not Billy Bragg. It's Billy Idol. That's Billy Idol's real name.
All right, okay.
What's that?
Who's Billy Idol?
He's White Wedding.
Aye, White Wedding. Rebel Yell.
You need to sing it.
He's an 80s. He was an 80s kind of rock kind of icon type
that
guy.
Was so far before my time, obviously.
Okay, then. Right, that's it.
Wedding singer, Paddy, with Adam Sandler.
You need to sing it, otherwise I don't know.
Chris is a music man.
I'm trying to think. White Wedding's quite difficult because it's a
long,
lot. It's mainly it's a bit more the kind of band.
Aye.
There isn't really a kind of catchy hook in it, really.
No,
I'll look it up after.
Right, okay. Aye. Well, that's his real name. Anyway.
You'll know it when you hear it.
Aye. So
Okay.
Next question goes to you, Paddy. It's still one each. Farrokh Balsara.
Borat. Is that no? Is that a station?
No, he's a character, Sacha Baron Cohen. So I kind of get why you would say that, but it's incorrect. So I'll pass it over to Chris.
Is it Freddie Mercury?
It is Freddie Mercury. Well done, Chris. He's born Farrokh Balsara. I can't remember what country he was born in.
I think he's Egyptian, maybe.
Is it Egypt? Well, there'll be one member
Perhaps.
of the UFA who is screaming at us right now.
Oh yeah, Jasper will be absolutely screaming the answer.
Shout out to Jasper.
Although I've heard that Jasper was at our music session this week, and they've diversified into the Beatles now as well.
Right,
so
okay.
yeah, so
Right. So it's not just Queen.
So it's not just Queen. Yep.
So it's 2-1, and this next question goes to Chris. Stephanie Germanotta.
I'm going to say something like Madonna because it sounds kind of Italian.
It's no Madonna.
No, I know I said that before, but
Stephanie Germanotta.
I've said every stage name I know of. Stephanie what?
Germanotta.
Okay. Can I just keep saying Lady Gaga and then it might work one time? Lady Gaga.
It's correct. You've
that was
stolen.
going to be my second. That was the one I was between because I was like going, is it Lady Gaga? And I was like, I wonder if she'll go back to that answer there. So well done.
Same.
Oh, thanks.
Equaliser. She's nodded in an equaliser at the back post. And the next question goes to you, Paddy. So this one is Alicia Beth Moore.
Alicia Keys.
Is incorrect. So it passes to Chris.
So close.
You don't know if you're close yet.
I know, I have no idea.
Oh God knows. Or she's got a light bulb moment there, but I don't know. The name that came to my mind was Bette Midler for some reason. I don't know why.
Maybe because of the Beth in the middle, but that's
maybe, yeah.
incorrect, Chris. Paddy, did it come to you?
Well, I'll just be honest and say what my brain said, even though it's up here ready. But I was thinking Ali G.
You just
another Sacha Baron Cohen character.
I know. I don't know.
It's correct, actually, Paddy. No,
it's not. Oh my God. Don't do that.
That is the new name of Pink.
All right, okay.
Aye.
Oh my God, is that not her name?
She wasn't born Pink Moore.
She probably was born Pink. Like.
Aye.
Most of us are.
So question 8 goes to you, Chris. And it's Charles Hardin Hawley.
Charlie Chaplin.
It's not Charlie Chaplin. So it passes to Paddy.
Oh, do you know something? It could be something else. It's okay.
Charlie what?
Charles Hardin Hawley.
Will I Am.
It's no Will I Am. I think his name is William, to be honest.
All right, is that why he's got that?
Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? That is the real name of Buddy Holly.
That was going to be my second answer. That's why I was like, is it that obvious? Is that obvious? So I picked either the first name or the second name.
I threw that one in just to be a wee bit dodgy, aye. But so it's still 2 each. Going into the last 2 questions. So question 9 goes to you, Paddy, and it's Carlos Estevez.
What?
Who is Carlos Estevez?
Are we allowed to ask at any point for like a wee clue, a wee tiny clue?
No, you'll know, actually.
I mean,
doesn't look like that.
It must be. I can't think of one other name. Sorry. Okay, one name, Paddy. I don't know.
No name. You're not going to give it.
I can't think of one name.
Why don't you say
Carol.
another Sacha Baron Cohen character? That might work.
I know. Okay, let me think. I don't know. I can't think of one name.
Right, okay. We'll pass it over to Chris. Chris, do you know it?
Is it Emilio Estevez?
It's his brother. It's Charlie Sheen.
I was in the right neck of the woods. In the right neck of the woods.
His name is Carlos Estevez, and that's Emilio's brother. Emilio's the only one who kept Estevez as the name because
okay.
Martin Sheen, changed to Martin Sheen from Estevez. But last question, Chris, to take a win in season 2 against a guest. Number 10 is Gordon Sumner.
I'm pretty sure that is Sting, is it not?
The answer is Sting. And we've got a win against a guest.
Oh!
It said Sting earlier, and I was like, oh, he's not going to go back to that. But he gets the win 3-2, and it's a good win for the hosts. You've done well, Paddy.
Well done.
Yes.
Considering I clearly know nothing on the topic, I think
it was
all right.
difficult though. It was really difficult. Like it's very difficult kind of trying to pull those, because you don't know whether or not it's the surname is or the forename is a factor in it. You know.
Aye. And I looked up. So I was now you said Madonna a couple of times. I looked up her name. She was born Madonna.
Was she?
Her first name is Madonna. Aye.
Because I know she's is she Sicone or something?
Something like that. Aye.
Is her surname as well? But yeah.
Aye. So
well,
there you go. There's another wee bit of knowledge for you before you head away, Paddy.
Yeah.
But thanks very much for coming on. Really appreciate it. It was great interview, great information for people in the community. We'll definitely drop a link to your social media and things like that in the description below. Because that's where people can find out all the information they need from Castlemilk Together and from yourselves at Castleton Housing. And it's brilliant stuff that the work that you guys do and the work that Castlemilk Together do as well. Obviously, we at the complex worked a wee bit during lockdown and things like that with Castlemilk Together, and the work that was going on from all other organisations was incredible. And thanks very much for doing a wee video for us as well, a wee video interview. At the start of lockdown. That was brilliant as well. So probably some of our viewers have already seen that video, but really appreciate you coming on the Milk Round. Did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah, thanks for the invite, because I've been watching a couple of the podcasts.
Right.
So I feel a wee bit like user celebrities, and I'm like here. So, but it is good because it's a good opportunity as well for when you get asked questions, it gives you a space to reflect on what you're doing, and then to think we could be doing that. I don't know. It's a useful exercise if you're working in the community to be asked questions about what you're doing, because it leaves you with more questions for your own kind of practice and stuff. So yeah, it's been good, and welcome anyone who's watching to give us a wee chat. I promise I won't go on as much as what I've done on this. I know how to limit a conversation. I do have that skill set, and sometimes I do it, but aye. So no, thank you for the invite. Enjoyed it.
Brilliant. No, I think it was needed. The longer interview was needed because of all the work that you guys do, and there was so much information. It was excellent. You can get us on social media as well. We will drop your social media down below in the description, but you can get us on social media at...
It's Facebook Kelly Youth Complex Staff, Twitter Youth Complex CYC, Instagram Youth_Complex. We have a TikTok as well. It's Kelly Youth Complex, and you can drop us an email at cycyouthteam@gmail.com.
Yep, you're on our YouTube, so if you can like this video, subscribe to our channel, ring the bell for notifications, and share our videos on your social media. That would help us out a lot. We'll see you next week for the next episode, where we've got another great guest on. So thanks again for watching, guys, and thank you, Paddy. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.